So, today I'm going to talk about an app that can help athletic trainers and other medical personnel determine when the appropriate time is to send a player back into action after suffering a concussion. That app is called C3 Logix. We should really start off by talking about what a concussion is. Well, concussions occur when the brain slams against the inside of the skull. This is a simulation of what happens to the brain when a concussion occurs. As you can see, in this situation, the brain collides with both the front and back sections of the skull, as signified by the red color. To take a more in-depth look at this, let's watch this video by CNN's Dr. Sanjay Gupta. He will explain the physiology of concussions and the long-term effects of suffering one.
A concussion is a brain injury. People think of it as getting your bell rung or getting a ding, but the truth of the matter is that it's a brain injury. The biggest cause of concussion is getting hit to the head, but it can happen in all sorts of different ways. It can happen certainly on a sports field, a helmet-to-helmet collision, for example, but it can also happen in ways that you might not expect. For example, in a car accident, even if your head doesn't hit the dashboard or hit the windshield, just the violent moving back and forth of the brain within the skull during a car accident, for example, can cause a concussion. People think, for example, if this is the brain, around it is a skull, and then you have a helmet, that there's a blow, and you just get a blow to the brain. That's not exactly what's happening. Typically, if all of a sudden this brain is moving this direction, another helmet, for example, is moving this direction, and then they both suddenly stop, what happens is the brain keeps moving within the skull, bounces back and forth, almost like a beach ball in a swimming pool. And at the same time that's happening, the brain is actually elongating. It's like almost a fluid medium. It feels like almost like jello. And it's going back and forth and stretching out at the same time. And that's really what ends up causing that concussion, that back and forth, that stretching out. One thing to keep in mind about concussions, they don't mean that you necessarily lost consciousness. People can have concussions and have been awake, a really important point. Typically, someone is just going to feel a little bit out of sorts. They may have a hard time figuring out exactly where they are, what their surroundings are. They may be seeing stars, especially in the outside of their vision, the periphery of their vision. Things may sound hollow because their hearing is not quite intact right after a concussion. But typically, it's people around somebody who's had a concussion that are going to notice the most. All people recover differently from concussions. Some people could take weeks to recover. Some people may take just a few days. But the key is that they have to be absolutely symptom-free. They can't have any symptoms at all, because what that means is that the brain is not completely healed. And if the brain is not completely healed and the person gets a second concussion, then all of a sudden you've taken a problem that someone can recover from and turned it into a potentially fatal problem. The brain needs to rest, and that means lots of things. No texting, for example, no screen time. Reading puts a strain on the brain. So tell people to really completely do nothing, at least for several days, until all of their symptoms has gone away, and then you slowly resume activity. We've seen now through this new study the brains of these players after they died, and found that people who died prematurely in their 30s or their 40s, even at that young age, are already starting to have signs that are similar to Alzheimer's disease in their brains. And it's because of repeated blows to the head. So it's really changing everything about football. They don't practice as much anymore actually hitting head to head. They do a lot of what's called the 2-point stance, holding your body up, as opposed to the 3-point stance with the helmet down. They try and prevent as much as possible those helmet-to-helmet hits, which make for great highlight films, but unfortunately we now know more than ever what it's been doing to people's brains.
Now, let's take a look at a few videos of some professional athletes getting concussions.
His career, 11 kickoff and punt returns for scores. On the 26, he'll get a shot at it. Whoa! Helmet's out, ball's out. Oh my. And Josh Cribbs is probably out. Morgan Cox made the tackle. And let's Let's hope that Cribs is okay.
Morgan Cox is the long snapper, 46. The second hit that comes in, though, is the one that knocks the helmet off from the right-hand side. Cox was the primary. Now, watch from the left here. That's Ellerby, 59. That's the hit that got him. And remember, folks, and I know everybody's saying forearm to the helmet. He's not a defenseless player. He's a punt returner with the ball in his hands. This is not a defenseless player situation. All we really care about right now is his health.
Both teams are out there and worried about it. Cribs, one of the better return men in the league, and as you can see, both teams huddled around the fallen Cleveland Brown. Pat Shermer out there, and
It's Ellerby made the hit. Wow.
This next video shows a professional basketball player getting a concussion while on the court.
Once again looking for Howard. Davis with the 4 fouls. Howard blocked from behind by Robinson. And Daniels picks it up. Great tough defense from the littlest guy on the floor. And Davis is down. Right now it's 4-on-5. Davis slow to get up. I think Davis is, boy, he's struggling with his balance right now. He is shaken up big time. Joe Crawford trying to help out there. Boy, Davis looks a little disoriented.
They've already taken their 20s. This has to be full.
Davis can't stand up by himself right away. It took him a little time. Team doctor out there along with the trainers. Goes down. Didn't hit his head. Or landed funny. They're saying to bring out water. Maybe dehydration. You hope it's only something so simple like that. If he's dehydrated. But right away you can see him. You saw his eyes. He just looked disoriented. As he couldn't get his balance.
Too. Yeah, he was slipping.
And he's still down on the floor. Obviously dizzy there. And we'll take a break. As we wind down the third quarter, they attend to Davis here in Orlando. Dwight Howard and his elbow. Again, this is not intentional. But watch that left elbow come down. A shot right smack in the face. Davis went down, struggled to get up. When he got up, he had no balance. Not making a joke here. You see Doc Rivers waving him on, trying to get him to go. It was a 4-on-5. But it's like a boxer who got hit, staggering, and had no balance, was obviously woozy. Joe Crawford comes up and does a good job making sure he doesn't fall, and all the help. While it's finally up off the floor. But clearly shaken up after that hard shot. You just can't imagine a shot from such a strong player like Howard to the face like that.
But Mike, I don't want it to be a throwaway line. You certainly didn't make it one. But you got to give credit to Joey Crawford in that situation. Realizing that he had a guy in trouble and did not allow Glenn Davis to hit the floor again. Got in front of him and stopped him from falling.
I mean, he's coming down. There's a big 6'11" guy coming down squarely on your face with his elbow. And give credit to Davis. He's woozy, but he's trying to get up and get back into the game with his team. But just unable to go right now.
And finally, here's a professional hockey player getting a concussion.
Along the boards, and Stahl shaken up. Gets up and heads for the bench. He'll step out. 6:41 gone by.
Okay, now watch the jaw. Stahl on the shoulder of Boucher. That's where the contact is made. Mark Stahl shaken up on the play. He eventually he was leaning. And by the time they came together, Mark Stahl was still kind of straightening up. He eventually got up on his own power.
Professional athletes aren't the only athletes who get concussions. Football accounts for the highest number of concussions in high school sports, but concussions affect athletes in every sport, even those that are not considered full contact. From 2012 to 2013, there was an estimated 153,000 concussions that occurred in high school football players. 100,000 concussions occurred in high school soccer players, 29,000 concussions occurred in high school basketball players, and 12,000 concussions occurred in high school wrestlers. Here's a video of a high school football player getting a concussion. Okay, now here's a story about a high school basketball player getting a concussion.
This morning, a Shawnee Mission South High School basketball player is recovering after